On a beautiful night for softball, welcome to San Antonio, Texas, coming to you from the campus of St. Mary's University, where tonight the Canyon Cougars open the 6A Region 4 playoffs against Clark. On the Cougars Network, I'm Brant Freeman, joined alongside me, Tony Brubaker. Tony, glad to be with you here tonight as we cover the first round of the playoffs, and the Cougars enter this postseason red-hot, winners of 15 in a row.
Boy, they make quick work of a district over the course of several weeks. A lot of success, and that's what they feed on as they enter into the playoffs, and expecting big things from them tonight.
Canyon 24-5 in the regular season, a perfect record in district play in 27-6A at 14-0, taking on the Clark Cougars, who are 17-9 this year, finishing fourth in 28-6A at 12-6. And Tony, we should note this is a one-game playoff. There is an option for there to be a three-game series, a best of three, or a single game. This is it. So over the course of 7 innings, the regular season means nothing now.
It's win or go home. It's not a three-game set where you look at this pitcher or you look at that pitcher and you get a chance to feel each other out in the first game because you got more. This is one and done.
First pitch coming up at 7 o'clock here in San Antonio. We'll step aside. When we come back, more pregame coverage coming up on the Cougars Network. We're back in a moment.
This is as good as there is. He got it. Here comes Harper. Got him. What a play. Incredible. And they got him. That kid is unbelievable. Game over.
Everything you love about baseball is on FS1.
Did you know Canyon High School has 2,555 current students? But if the current 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd graders in our district were Cougars right now, the high school enrollment would be over 14,000 students. Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org.
I'm privileged to work at GVTC, not only to work for a company that provides excellent products and services, but also through the GVTC Foundation to be able to support the communities that we work and live in, serving those communities.
Any individual can donate. We're a nonprofit 501c3, so it's a tax-deductible donation.
That we're on the right track partnering with our communities as we continue to seek ways to grow the GVTC Foundation.
Hey, Cheryl. I've been working on this
Texas 6A football. You're playing the best level of football there is in the country.
Got a little bit of kick to it.
I have a one.
Fantastic.
Houston, do you copy?
Texas 6A football. You're playing the best level of football there is in the country, in the world. I stepped in this position. Kids have been here, the coaches have all been here. I was the new piece of the puzzle. It was very difficult on the staff that was here and on the kids for a change at that time. My coaching style is probably more like my head coach when I was in high school. Hardworking, very demanding coach on the field. When it's time for business, it's time for business. But then there's somewhere that's got to turn off so that the kids can maybe see you in a different light. We try to blend our kids to where they're good people when they leave the program. So a lot of our basis is predicated on teaching them to be accountable to things, teaching them to have a good work ethic in the classroom, you know, at home, wherever they may be, being a good all-around person. That can translate into wins on the football field. You don't have to have outlaws on your football team to win games. I was taught that many, many years ago. You can win with good kids, and that's what we want to win with here, is good, well-rounded individuals.
Defense goes straight to pursuit drill on that end. Offense finds your position.
This is a real exciting time. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of energy around right now. You know, kids are excited. They're ready to get out of the weight room right now. They're ready to get out back on the field.
Get him in there. Get him in there. Got to go. Get him in there. Bank it. Good. Good, 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 good.
There's so much positive going on right now that's really difficult to wrap your head around it because it's fixing to just explode. And we're really excited about it.
Push him. You got him. Oh, money, 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 money. Good. Green. Stop. Eyes on one. Front of that. Sit it. Good. Go to the ball. Good.
We have made progress. When you look at what our kids are doing now, we're headed in the right direction. We've got great young men that are working extremely hard.
Combo and two the same, right, with your eyes. So when the ball snaps, we're not trying to get a read out of him, right? When the ball, you know, obviously we got to see number one, so I don't want to be late to him. Eyes on him, we got to make sure we get a funnel on him. And then once we do, then we get our eyes on two.
Football is a great place for somebody to get involved. I think it's a great opportunity for us to help those and teach them and guide them in many, many areas of their life.
This is your team, these are your brothers, this is your family. You get after their tail like that, then I think we'll do just fine against anybody that comes through those gates or any place that we might go to play in the fall. It's Friday, normal Friday talk, right? You got a weekend ahead of you, make wise decisions. You know right from wrong, don't have to tell you what they are. You make a mistake, what's it gonna do? It's gonna cost everybody in this program. It's gonna give them, you put a black eye on this, okay? How do you avoid those situations? You hang out with people in places that you need to.
Them seeing us every day, hopefully not just me, but it's our entire coaching staff, the overall program. Hopefully our athletes are seeing what they need to see in order to help them down the road as far as modeling the way you need to be. I'm Coach Muchagamba. I'm the head football coach at Canyon High School.
Ready for live action here in San Antonio, round one of the 6A playoffs. The Canyon Cougars matching up against the Clark Cougars here at St. Mary's University on the Cougars Network. As Cindy Campion steps in to lead things off here for the Cougars against Brooke Vestal, the pitcher tonight for Canyon, and starts the game with a strike, and it is 0-1 to Campion.
It's a great opportunity for both teams to get some early jitters out with a couple of pitches and maybe a hard hit ball somewhere.
Campion, a freshman for Clark, one of 5 freshmen on the varsity roster, and she has hit well as the count evens now to ball and a strike. Campion hitting .412 in 2017, an OPS of .970, no homers and 6 RBI. Team leader in hits this season with 21 for head coach Delane Kelly.
And as a freshman, you mentioned that's hard to do as a freshman.
And now it's 1-2 to Campion. Looking at the defense tonight behind Vestal in the outfield and left, Bailey Zeblin, in center, Sydney Belvin, and right, Abby Konecki. Around the horn for Canyon at third base, Aaliyah Pritchett. At short, Sydney Owens. At second, Yasmin Perez. At first base, Paige Maloney. And the catcher is Jude Padilla. Count even now, 2 balls and 2 strikes. You look at the strikeout numbers on the year for Vestal, 190 of them this year. She has won 14 of Canyon's games. As a team, the Cougars are 24-5. At ERA, minuscule, 1.16, and opens the game with a strikeout, 1 away.
Nice riser there that got up into the hands of the batter, and nothing really she could do about it.
That sends up Kat Pisano for the Clark Cougarettes. Have to have that qualifier in there. Both teams the same mascot name tonight. Pisano hitting .204 on the year, no homers and 7 RBI. Just 10 hits this year. Her last came April the 24th. And falls behind, 0-1.
First couple of batters, obviously slap hitters, both of them trying to just put a bat on the ball, put it in play. That's where your defense is so important in this game.
Looking at how these two matched up with one another. Canyon, the number 1 seed at a 27-6A, going 14-0 in district to win the title. It's now a ball and a strike. Meanwhile, Clark went 12-6, tied with O'Connor for third. They had to play a third-place game. And in that game, O'Connor won handily 13-1 and making Clark the number 4 seed out of 28-6A. Behind Vestal, nice play by the second baseman, Perez, but not in time. And Pisano is on board. The first base runner of the game belongs to Clark.
Interesting to see with Pisano up, the outfield very shallow, the infield in tight. She just happened to get it just enough past the pitcher. The second baseman had no real chance with the short bases.
And now that sends up Karina Rodriguez for Clark. And what a season she's had. The sophomore hitting .316, team leader in slugging at a .543 average. 1 homer, 6 doubles, and has driven in 15. And she is the first right-handed batter of the night for Clark and falls behind 0-1.
Right there, you're looking at a Clark coaching staff that believes this will be a low-scoring game as she squares and bunts on the first pitch. Not something you expect from your 3-hole hitter in the first inning.
For Clark's sake, they better hope it is low scoring. The Clark Cougarettes, have held their opponents to 3 runs or less 15 times this year. In those games, they're 13-2. Right back to Vestal, 2 away. A productive out, though, as Pisano takes second base, and it sends up Abby Mullins.
So she'll get credit for a sacrifice on the 1-4 putout, and that obviously puts Clark somewhere where they want to be with a runner in scoring position.
Here's Mullins now for Clark, a .316 hitter. 3-year varsity player for the Cougarettes. 49 career hits, 2 of them home runs, 12 of them doubles, and has driven in 24 over the course of her 3-year career. Strike 1. The winner of this game, by the way, and as we did mention back in the pregame show, this is a 1-game playoff. Will take on the winner between San Antonio MacArthur and Vista Ridge. Those two playing in a best-of-3 series, which opens tonight. 0-2.
She's been late on both fastballs, so obviously she's got some work to do if she wants to catch up.
Not only late, Tony, but also looks like Mullins expanding her strike zone as well.
I would agree with that.
Now waiting on deck is Lucille Nash for Clark. Mullins shows bunt and takes strike 3. Second strikeout of the inning for Brooke Vestal. And we go to the bottom of the first. No score in San Antonio on the Cougars Network.
Did you know Canyon High School has already exceeded classroom capacity and will continue to grow by an average of 175 students per year over the next 10 years? Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org. Cougars Network is your home for Canyon High School athletic coverage. Don't miss live game broadcasts, weekly coaches shows, stories from inside the field house, and more. Log on to cougarsnetwork.com to stay up to date with everything from the Den to the Red Zone. Welcome to Cougars Network.
Welcome back to St. Mary's University's site of this first-round playoff game between Clark and Canyon. Cougars coming up to bat for the first time tonight. Looking at the batting order for head coach Kevin Randall, leading off in center field, Sydney Belvin hitting second, the second baseman Yasmin Perez hitting third, tonight's pitcher Brooke Vestal. Middle part of the order hitting fourth, Aaliyah Pritchett at third base. Hitting fifth, the shortstop Sydney Owens. Hitting sixth, the catcher Jude Padilla. Hitting seventh at first base, Paige Maloney. Hitting eighth, tonight's designated player, Riley Hopper. Hitting ninth in left field is Bailey Zeblin. And right now, what we got for Clark in the circle, Amaris Tinahiro, their sophomore pitcher, and Tony, she's got her work cut out for her against this Canyon lineup.
And she doesn't have the advantage the Canyon pitchers will have, is that she doesn't have a whole lot of offense behind her. So she's got to really, from the get-go, limit the Canyon offense and try to keep runners off base to start with.
Canyon's offense averaged over 8 runs per game in the regular season, over 10 runs per game in district play. They scored 10 runs or more 12 times this year in their 29 games played. And Belvin, a very good leadoff hitter for the Cougars, hitting .411 in 2017. 6 doubles, it has scored 32 times.
32 runs scored in 29 games. That means she's getting on base.
Pulls the bat back on that one and takes ball one. Canyon enters the postseason winners of 15 straight games. Opened the season 7-1 this year. That's strike one to Belvin, but then lost 4 of 6 heading into district play. A lot of those losses coming in the Dripping Springs tournament, but the team turned things around after that, got really focused heading into 27 6A play. Coach Randall made the comments before the game tonight. The team playing with a lot of determination throughout the year after a tough end to last season. Canyon season ending for the second year in a row last year in the region finals.
They act like they have something to prove. I mean, I think he talked like his kids have something to prove, that this is a program that's better than losing in the regional finals.
Fell victims to Weslaco a year ago, a year before that against San Benito. This has been a great program over the years under Coach Randall. Again, 24 wins this season. Back-to-back 30-win campaigns the previous 2 years. And that is a strikeout to open the bottom of the first. There for Tinahiro, one away. Oh, no, that's called ball 2, beg your pardon. Boy, Clark's reaction, thought that was strike 3, and the at-bat continues here for Belvin. Good eye by Belvin. The count fills out now 3-2.
Probably one of the more challenging things to do, baseball, softball, is to be running up in the batter's box and still know the strike zone.
Perez awaits on deck for Canyon. Belvin, a patient at-bat so far. And really making Tinahiro work here to open the bottom of the first. And lines out to second. Posada the play for Clark, 1 out.
Ball wasn't hit real hard, but had a lot of sink to it, and that's where the second baseman, Pisano, really had to come in and make a play.
And that sends up Yasmin Perez for Canyon. A 204 hitter, 11 RBI in the season for Perez. Bats with nobody on and 1 away here in the first.
Kind of wonder why you have a 204 hitter batting second, but obviously she has ability to move the runners if they're on base.
The heart of the order, which is coming up, Vestal, Pritchett, Owens, is really, really good. On deck tonight's pitcher, Vestal, a .422 hitter. And behind her, Pritchett hitting .534. Owens after that, hitting .390. 0-2 now to Perez. And right now, the sophomore pitcher for Clark, Tidahiro, pitching with some confidence.
Mixing up pitches as well. You've seen fastballs that look a little bit off speed with some break on it, trying to keep the Canyon batters off balance.
Perez lays off, the count now 1-2. More on the program. So back-to-back 30-win campaigns in 2015 and 16. That after a very uncharacteristically bad season in 2014. But over the past 3 years to include this season, a record of 87-22 for Canyon. 2-2 now, the count to Perez. And over that time in district play, 35-3.
You could say they've owned the district.
Oh, man. You know, in a District 2 to include a great program at Smithson Valley as well. The two programs, in fact, both won state titles not too long ago, back in 2009. Then the Rangers, the 5A level, the Cougarettes at the 4A level. Canyon last made the state tournament in 2010, but have gotten oh so close the past 2 years. This team has that look to it. A strikeout for Tidahiro, now 2 away as Perez sits down.
Tidahiro certainly looks like she's pitching with a lot of confidence, as you mentioned, but she's really mixing the ball up and down and moving it in and out. She seems to have command of what she's throwing tonight.
But this part of the order is where Tidahiro is going to make her money if she can get through it, navigating through Vestal, Pritchett, and Owens. Again, Vestal hitting over 400 with 7 home runs and falls behind 0-1.
That fastball had a little zip to it.
Really did. You get the sense, so too, Tony, not a lot of familiarity between these two programs or these players, so there's a feeling out process right now for Canyon's hitters.
Agreed.
Sharply hit, ground ball, better play by Rodriguez, and we go to the second. A 1-2-3 frame for Ramirez. Tidahiro of Clark, no score. Heading into the second inning on the Cougars Network. We're back in a moment.
I play because this is my destiny.
What a finish to this match! What a shot!
Right now, Canyon High School has an enrollment of 2,617 students. But did you know? It's projected that a current kindergartner on the path to become a Cougar will join more than 4,000 students during their freshman year. Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org.
Back in San Antonio on a beautiful Thursday night for high school softball by district round of the 6A Region 4 playoffs. No score. Heading into the second, Lucille Nash, Mia Quintero, Peyton Johnson coming up for Clark. Second inning of work tonight for Brooke Vestal in the circle and falls behind 1-0 against Nash. Nash, one of those 5 freshmen we spoke about earlier for Clark. And you look at this group of 5, between the 5 of them, they have 72 of the team's hits, 57% of the total, 34 RBI. A ball and a strike now. That's 41% of the team's total. And they've scored exactly half of the team's runs as well, 55 with 110. And so the bottom line here, Tony, is that Coach Kelly, she's got a bright future with this program.
Well, I think finishing tied for third in the district with this young of a team, you're talking about a program that has 3 more years with those guys, those gals, 3 more years with them to put a mark on that district.
The district won by the Holmes Huskies this year. Third strikeout for Vestal, 1 away.
She was overmatched on that pitch.
And that sends up Mia Quintero, another one of the freshmen. She's hitting .312, second of the team at hits with 20 this year, and third in runs scored. Only base runner of the game for either team this far, Kat Pisano of Clark, an infield single back in the first. A really good opening frame for Amira's Tina Hero for Clark in the circle. Retiring Canyon in order. And the count 0-1 now to Quintero.
Vestal's done a really good job, I think, of keeping the ball down more often than not.
Right to the first baseman, Maloney. 2 quick outs here for Vestal in the second.
As I say that, she throws a riser that eats up Quintero, and she has a soft liner to first. So she's, again, moving the ball around, and that's what softball's all about.
Got to change the eye level of the hitter.
That's what pitching's all about, baseball or softball.
Now the batter is Peyton Johnson for Clark, hitting .209 on the year, 9 for 43. No homers and 5 RBI for the junior. And that's up for ball 1. A good close of the season for Johnson. 4 hits over the final 5 games of the regular season after getting just 5 hits in her first 15 games. And the count now even at a ball and a strike. We spoke a little bit about Canyon's history. Looking at Clark, the 17 wins this year match the team's total from the previous 2 seasons combined. This was Clark's first winning campaign in 5 years. Last came in 2012. Also the same year as their previous playoff appearance. Another line shot right to Maloney, and a quick 1-2-3 in the second for Vestal. We head to the bottom of the frame on the Cougars Network, still scoreless in San Antonio. We're back in a moment.
Did you know Canyon High School has already exceeded classroom capacity and will continue to grow by an average of 175 students per year over the next 10 years? Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org.
Path to the draft. Everything you need to know before your team's on the clock.
He can help this offense go to an entire new level.
We break down which college stars will shine on Sundays.
He gives them a guy that can put the offense on his back.
With in-depth analysis you can't get anywhere else.
I think he's got a chance to vault himself up into that first round.
All leading up to draft day. Path to the Draft, Monday through Friday at 6, live on NFL Network.
Well, you find out something new every day. You learn something new every day. We hear the music playing in the background, and it's a song that Tony likes so much so he has this album.
Amen.
Name of the band again, Tony?
Bachman-Turner Overdrive.
So do they go by BTO?
They do. They did. I'm not sure they're still playing music in 2017, but they did back, I think in the 80s is where they were probably their biggest. 80s. 70s, 80s, 90s.
Is it bad that I did not know the band that played this song?
Well, you weren't born in the 80s, so I think we're okay.
I was, 81.
Okay.
I wasn't listening to this kind of music in 1981. Coming up for the Cougarettes in the batting order, Pritchett, Owens, and Padilla, hitters 4, 5, and 6. And again, Amaris Tina Hero looked really good at the circle in the first inning. against the top part of the Canyon order. Let's see how she does against the middle part as Pritchett steps in. Tonight's third baseman for Canyon. And fouls that back for strike one.
That might have been the best swing with contact we've seen tonight, even though she fouled it up and out of play. Still, she seemed to have a grasp of where she caught the ball, a little in front of the plate. So she was right on it. She just missed it.
I'm not sure anybody has had better swings this year than Pritchett, a .534 hitter, 6 homers and 15 doubles here in 2017, and only a sophomore. Falls behind here, 0-2.
And that was equally as not a good swing as she was fooled on the pitch that was low and away.
A long look in by Tina Hero. Gonna waste a few pitches here if she wants. Not wasting any time there. Pritchett pops up. 1 out.
Nice play by the catcher Quintero to not only catch it but stayed with it. That ball went up the ladder quite a bit. Had some help from her first baseman and third baseman, but she stayed right on it and made a nice play.
And that sends up Sydney Owens, the Canyon shortstop, hitting .390 on the year, 7 home runs and 38 RBI. And again, a beautiful night for playoff softball here in San Antonio, and there are so many venues available here in the Alamo City, the greater San Antonio area, to include Clemens, New Braunfels, even San Marcos if you want to go that far. But, Tony, I got to say, very impressed with the facility here at St. Mary's.
We both commented as we pulled in here, and my wife's a volleyball official and tells me how much she likes coming over here with their facility for that sport. But they have some great facilities right here in a tight little, neat little campus.
1-0 the count here to Owens. And now a ball and a strike.
They're getting some cuts at Tenehiro, but not really anybody yet that's put the ball in play hard.
I'll say this, too, that Tina Hero has been aggressive to the strike zone as well. She's telling Canyon's hitters, here's my stuff, hit it. Off speed there for strike 2.
And you talked about Owens being the RBI leader. I mean, that's not easy to do as a shortstop, and yet she is the RBI leader.
Now the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Owens. Canyon closed out the regular season last Tuesday with a 6-1 win over Judson to complete their perfect run through 27 6A play. In that game, Brooke Vestal, a complete game 3-hitter, struck out 9, driving in 4 at the plate. As Owens stays alive, it was also senior night for Canyon. 4 players recognized during last week's festivities: Yasmin Perez, Cameron Stewart, Savannah Luna, and Sarah LaChance. So only 4 seniors. As good as Canyon is this year, a lot of this group is coming back again in 2018.
It's one of the ways you keep a program consistent.
Another strikeout for Tina Hero, her second, and she has gone 5 up and 5 down so far.
She has looked sharp. She's been efficient. The first 2 batters both had full counts. Since then, I think the 6 pitches she threw to Owens with the foul ball is the biggest count she's had. She's doing a good job of having a couple of 1 or 2 pitch bats.
The hitter now was Padilla, hitting .432 in the regular season with 17 doubles. Again, this Canyon lineup is ridiculous top to bottom. That's ball 1 to Padilla. Looking at the numbers on the air for Tina Hero, 16-6 in 2017 with a 3.64 ERA. A lot of work for her. 125 of the third innings pitched, struck out 93, walking 74. A ball to strike now to Padilla. Paige Maloney awaits on deck.
You talked about her numbers, 125 innings, just 93 strikeouts. She's looked better in that tonight, and you'd have to believe Canyon's offense is probably as good as anybody in their district. And yet she had 74 walks with her 93 strikeouts. So control has not been a big friend of hers through the course of the season. Tonight, she's sharp.
I have not seen that tonight. And she continues to get ahead of hitters here now as well, Tony, that now head here 1 and 2.
It's because she's putting the ball in the strike zone and making them swing.
You do wonder, by the time we hit the lineup for the second time tonight, will Canyon to figure some things out?
And again, all we have is stats.
Sure.
We don't know if her ERA of 3.64 were most of those runs scored in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th innings.
That ends the Canyon second. 6 up and 6 down for the sophomore, Amiris Tindahiro. Scoreless going into the third on the Cougars Network. We're back in a moment.
Did you know Canyon High School has 2,555 current students? But if the current 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd graders in our district were Cougars right now, the high school enrollment would be over 14,000 students. Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org. Cougars Network is your home for Canyon High School athletic coverage. Don't miss live game broadcasts, weekly coaches shows, stories from inside the fieldhouse, and more. Log on to cougarsnetwork.com to stay up to date on everything from the Den to the Red Zone. Welcome to Cougars Network.
We got ourselves a pitcher's duel. So far, 2 innings into the game, only one hitter has reached. Both starting pitchers, 3 strikeouts tonight. As we see Brooke Vestal take the circle for her 3rd inning of work. She'll face off against the Ponthier sisters, Caitlin and Rylan, to open the 3rd for Clark, followed by Sydney Campion. One ball to no strikes here to Ponthier. Caitlin hitting .229 in the regular season, a freshman with no homers and 10 RBI. Another one of those 5 freshmen we keep talking about. A ball to strike now to Ponthier.
10 runs batted in and all on singles. Or, pardon me, let's be intelligent. Could have been ground outs, fly ball, stuff like that. But she's not an extra base hitter.
I know we're beating that dead horse talking about the youth and the freshmen for this team, but it's worth noting. There's a shot towards the shortstop. Owens can't handle it as Ponthier reaches to open the 3rd for Clark.
I'll have to see how they call that one.
I'm curious.
Probably a ball that Owens should have fielded. I think she thought she had it, took one step, crossed over, backhanded. She's going to come up firing. She had time to throw her out if she fields it cleanly.
You and I have both been in the scoring business before, Tony, and you were thinking error. I thought error, and it's up on the board as an error as well. As Ponthier is at first on the E6, sends up her sister, Rylan Ponthier, who's ahead now, 1 ball, no strikes, getting back to the point of the freshman. And by the way, Rylan is the older of the 2 sisters. She's a senior. Of the 5 on the team, 4 of them are starting tonight for Clark. Late time call by Ponthier.
Actually, she had her hand up the hole at bat. She never got set. Vestal, I don't want to say it was quick pitch in there, but she's in a hurry. She's not going to take a lot of time tonight.
Vestal about to enter through the lineup for the second time as Campion awaits on deck. There's the bunt, fielded by Maloney, and the throw to first is in time, covered by Perez. Good sacrifice by Ponthier, moving her younger sister over to second base. And now runner in scoring position for Clark as we head to the top of the order with Cindy Campion stepping up.
So both times they've gotten a runner on first base, Clark has sacrificed that runner to second.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it works out this time, as that was a good bunt by Ponthier. And now Campion up again. She struck out the first time.
One of 3 strikeout victims tonight for Vestal. Nobody has struck out more Clark's lineup than Campion, now 16 times this year. That bunts over the top of that pitch. Nothing at a 1 from Vestal. Again, the winner of tonight's game takes on either San Antonio MacArthur or Vista Ridge. Those two playing at a best of 3. It's now a ball and a strike to Campion.
Both sets of fans are not excited about the outside corner calls of our home plate umpire tonight. They have both sets have thought they've earned some strikes on the outside corner and have not gotten them.
Losing the handle is the catcher. Padilla allows Ponthier to take third. A big miscue there after the strike thrown by Vestal. And now the game's first run stands at third base.
Do you call it a pass ball or?
I would think so. That was in the glove of the catcher.
And then it came loose, so it's definitely a pass ball.
Has to be.
Now Vestal has some extra work to do.
Campion strikes out for the second time tonight. 4th overall for Vestal. Huge out there, Tony, because now the sacrifice no longer in play.
And I think it's a huge, because I think no matter what your leadoff hitter's batting average, you fear that hitter just because she has an ability to put the ball in play, or she wouldn't be a leadoff hitter.
That sends up Kat Posado, has the game's only hit an infield single on the right side of the infield, back in the first. Towards short, scooped up by Owens, and we go to the bottom of the third, still scoreless. Nice play by Owens, and no score after 2.5. On the Cougars Network, we're back in a moment.
Did you know Canyon High School has already exceeded classroom capacity and will continue to grow by an average of 175 students per year over the next 10 years? Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org.
Be seated. All this stuff you hear about not wanting to vote May 6th, that's a lot of bullcorn. Americans love to vote. All real Americans love the sting and clash of voting. When you were kids, you all admired the after-work voter, the keep the car running, I'll be back in a second voter, the I voted sticker-wearing voters, and the I'm gonna vote to cancel out your vote voters. Americans love a voter and will not tolerate a non-voter. Americans vote to win all the time. That's why Americans have never lost and will never lose a chance to vote. The very thought of losing a chance to vote is hateful to Americans. The real hero is the man or woman who votes even though they're scared. Wait, why are they scared? It's really easy to vote on May 6th. Just go to votetexas.gov and register to vote. If you think you're already registered, you can double check there too. Wait, where was
the Canyon Cougarettes, winners of 15 in a row, about to send up number 15 to the plate. To open the third, Paige Maloney the first baseman for the Cougarettes, was a part of that final out recorded at the top of this inning that saved a run. Canyon still looking for its first base runner tonight. And again, a case of Amaris Tinahero getting out in front of a hitter. It's 0-1 to Maloney just like that.
Throwing strikes, that's what the game's all about. When you do that, you give everybody an advantage on your side.
We mentioned that 15-game winning streak, and Canyon has been absolutely dominant during the streak. Outscoring opponents during the streak 157-18. 6 run rule victories during the streak, and really only 2 games have been competitive over the stretch. A 10-6 win at Steele, in which Canyon came back from 2 runs down to the 6th to win the game back on April the 7th, and a 1-0 win against Smithson Valley on April the 11th.
Brant, they haven't lost since the 25th of February. It's April 27th. Yeah. It's been 2 months since they've walked off the field losers. I mean, this is amazing.
Maloney strikes out. 4 strikeouts now for Tinahero, 3rd in a row. That sends up Riley Hopper.
Again, 2 months, they haven't left the field, gone home, woke up the next day, gone to school, having lost a game for 2. It's the semester. That's more of the semester than before they lost.
Last month they lost. It was the same month the Super Bowl was played. And here we are today at NFL Draft Day.
Yeah. I mean, as a coach, you think about, good streaks and getting on a roll and things. And, we talked with Coach Randall, and that was never part of what he talked about. But he hasn't walked off the field having lost a game since February 25th.
He told us earlier, while it might be coach speak, this team truly has taken the mantra of one game at a time.
Right. He did.
And there's no way that this team is looking ahead to the area round or anything beyond that. We spoke earlier about this team has a build of a state run in them, but tonight they're focused on Clark and Clark only.
And I think they realized from the first batter that they're in a ball game because Tinahero is throwing strikes and throwing the ball hard.
Somebody's season will be decided over the next 4 innings. 1-2 now to Hopper. A 347 hitter. What a luxury. Hitting 8th in your order. Hopper this season has also driven in 14 runs as the catcher Quintero comes out to talk to Tinahero. And now we see Coach Randall visiting with Hopper right now. His junior. Awaiting on deck is Bailey Zeblin for the Cougarettes.
We've got to appreciate a catcher that's willing to go out there because she saw something, heard something. This is the 8-hole hitter, so you haven't even got back to the top of the order yet, but she's concerned about something that's going on.
Good hitting teams are good 2-strike hitting teams. Good eye there by Hopper. It's now 2-2. I mentioned the NFL draft. I forget. Is your team the Bears?
I am a Bears fan, yes.
Okay. Any hopes or wishes of what they do tonight?
No.
But you're glad to be.
It's baseball season because I'm a Cub fan too.
Right. 3-2 now. So on that same token, were you a Blackhawks and Bulls guy?
It's funny. I left Illinois before the Bulls started winning. I grew up on DePaul basketball with Dave Corzine and all those guys, and never really got into Bulls basketball because I grew up in an area where the only 2 teams on TV regularly were the Celtics and the Knicks. So I became a Celtics fan.
Ironically playing Chicago in the first round. Base hit to left for Hopper. And the Cougarettes have their first base runner with one away in the 3rd.
And she did square that one up good and sent it hard hit ball into left field, and really something that might spark this Cougarette team because of the fact it's your 8-hole hitter. Now you've got 9-hole and then back to the top of the order with one out. Let's see if you can get something going.
And now it's Zeblin, Canyon's left fielder tonight, batting for the first time. Really opens up those hips in her batting stance. Closes him up as she swings and fouls it back for strike one.
Nice batting average, though, at 364 for her. Batting ninth at 364.
I believe the only hitter in the order tonight hitting below 300 is Perez, who's hitting second.
Well, Maloney's at 250.
There you go.
So
Malone.
two of them. But at second and at seventh, kind of, you can handle that. But you also look at success breeds success. So when 2 or 3 people are hitting the ball hard, all of a sudden you got more confidence and you hit the ball hard, and then all of a sudden it just becomes a party out there with everybody circling the bases.
A ball to strike to Zeblin. She has 18 RBI on the year. Lays off that high offering, now 2-1, and Quintero again will come out to talk to her sophomore pitcher. And again, you see here, Tony, Canyon take the opportunity, a hitter, to visit with their head coach, Kevin Randall, there at third base.
Maybe, I'm going back to your 8 and 9 hitters are up, and they're hitting 347 and 364. Maybe that's what Quintero went out to remind her of. I don't know. I don't know you face many lineups with batters with those kind of averages at the 8 and 9 spots.
Nice pitch by Tita Hero. Good location, and it's now 2-2. Got to be careful, though, about elevating that pitch. If you're Tina Hero, you leave a ball up in the zone, and this Canyon lineup can make you pay. Another strikeout. 5 now for the sophomore Tina Hero, and a big out number 2.
And you could tell with the center field camera that time, she's got that rising fastball that softball pitchers like to have. That ball with a little extra giddy up that actually moves up in the strike zone as it comes across the plate, and makes it even harder to hit. You swing under it a lot more than you swing over it.
Back to the top of the order, the hitter now for Canyon to Sydney Belvin, who lined out to second her first time up. Big swing there, a chopper to short. Nash makes a play, and we are scoreless after 3. Tina Hero pitching with confidence for the Clark Cougarettes. No score going into the 4th of the Cougars Network. We're back in a moment.
Did you know Canyon High School has already exceeded classroom capacity and will continue to grow by an average of 175 students per year over the next 10 years? Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org. Cougars Network is your home for Canyon High School athletic coverage. Don't miss live game broadcasts, weekly coaches shows, stories from inside the field house, and more. Log on to cougarsnetwork.com to stay up to date on everything from the Den to the Red Zone. Welcome to Cougars Network.
Welcome back to San Antonio on the campus of St. Mary's University. What a game so far. Pitchers duel between Brooke Vestal and Amiris Tinahiro of Clark. Zeros on the board for both teams, only one hit for each team thus far. Strikeout numbers also piling up. Vestal has 4 for Canyon. Tinahiro has 5 for the Clark Cougarettes. And leading off Clark's 4th inning is Karina Rodriguez, their top hitter this year. A sacrifice for her back in the 1st inning, and fouls that one back for a strike. It is Rodriguez, Mullins, and Nash due up for Clark here in the 4th. And we mentioned Nash. What a play she made defensively to end the 3rd inning.
Yeah, great job of going down and catching a ball on a short hop and then firing a dart over to first.
Rodriguez now behind 0-2. Again, a .316 hitter this season. An OPS of near 1,000. Slugging .543, on base percentage of .438, and a team leading 15 RBI now calls for time. And again, very young softball team. Rodriguez only a sophomore. She was a varsity player a year ago as a freshman, hitting .389 in 14 games. You go back to this winning streak of Canyons that we've referenced throughout the broadcast. A lot of the games have essentially been over by this point. Clark battling tonight. 1-2 now to Rodriguez.
They look better than I think a lot of people expected to see them tonight as a 3rd-place team in that district and getting kicked really in the 3rd-place tie, the tiebreaker game. But they've been feisty.
Stays alive again. We're speaking to feisty, a feisty at-bat right now for Rodriguez. As a team, Clark at .245 this year. At 117 games, dropping 9. Finishing at 4th place in the 28-6A district.
You can tell one thing as she continues to battle is she knows how to swing the bat. You don't bat to .389 as a freshman and then .316 this year unless you really have the ability to put the bat on the ball squarely.
The magic number for Clark offensively has been 5 this season. It'll be tough to attain that tonight against Vestal, especially at this point of the game as Rodriguez strikes out. Now 5 punch-outs for Vestal, 1 away.
That one looked a little upstairs from here, but again, we're up in the press box. We don't have the best angle.
That sends up Mullins. When Clark scores 5 runs or more this year, they are 13-1. They don't get shut out much, only 3 times in their 26 games. Last time 2 weeks ago against O'Connor. Strike 1 here to Mullins, who struck out back in the 1st. Vestal in the circle tonight for Canyon. Again, 5 strikeouts. That gives her a season total now of 195. Popped it up. Might be playable. It is, and it's out number 2 in the glove of Pritchett.
As you look at most softball fields, and this is one of them, doesn't have a lot of room on the side. It's not certainly tight, but she doesn't have a whole lot of room as that one's popped up, and she just sauntered over to the dugout area and never took her eyes off the ball and made an easy catch. It was really something that was really good to see.
Yeah, you'd swear that maybe Canyon's home games were played here.
Right.
She knew the territory. There's a strike to Nash. Nash at .262 in the regular season. No homers and 11 RBI. She would actually like to attend this university after high school. There is one verbal commitment on Clark's team. It's Abby Mullins, who we just saw, has verbally committed to play at North Alabama. That's down for ball 2. Sun slowly setting here in San Antonio. Lights on to the ballpark. Scoreless affair here in the fourth. Just one hit so far for both teams. Good glove there at third base by Pritchett. And that is a 1-2-3-4 for Vestal. And we are still scoreless heading into the bottom of the fourth from St. Mary's on the Cougars Network. We're back in a moment.
Did you know Canyon High School has 2,555 current students? But if the current 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd graders in our district were Cougars right now, the high school enrollment would be over 14,000 students. Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org.
I'm privileged to work at GVTC, not only to work for a company that provides excellent products and services, but also through the GVTC Foundation to be able to support the communities that we work and live in, serving those communities.
Any individual can donate. We're a nonprofit 501c3, so it's a tax-deductible donation.
That we're on the right track partnering with our communities as we continue to seek ways to grow the GVTC Foundation.
A look at the Canyon dugout as we head to the bottom of the fourth inning. Still scoreless here in San Antonio. Canyon's bats red hot all year. Only one hit so far against the sophomore pitcher, Amiris Tinahiro, for the Clark Cougars. Tony and I reminiscing about college softball during the last break. Some coverage of the NCAA tournament years past. Tony had a chance to cover and mentioned going to Tucson, Arizona. Great program.
Yeah.
The Arizona Wildcats saw Jenny Finch play softball, one of the great pitchers of all time, maybe the greatest ever. And the funny thing is, she played a long time ago. You wouldn't think that this generation of softball players would be that familiar with her, but in an online questionnaire, a lot of Clark's players said their favorite softball player is Jenny Finch.
Well, I can't think of a more dominant individual player in the last 20 years than what she did on the mound. I mean, spectacular stuff.
Yasmin Perez starts the Canyon fourth and takes ball one from Tinahiro.
And I don't want to shock you, but the Bears just traded up and took Trubisky as a quarterback with the second pick of the draft.
Well, the Jay Cutler era is over, and I'm sure you couldn't be happier about it.
I'm blown away.
I'm a Titans guy, by the way, as we
which is unfortunate
divulge our NFL teams here on the Cougars Network. And I understand they took Corey Davis, the receiver from Western Michigan, moments ago. It's been a rough few seasons, but it's getting better with them now, particularly with Mariota at quarterback. The count now 1-2 to Perez. She'll be followed by Vestal and Pritchett here in the Canyon fourth. Perez struck out swinging back in the first inning. So far, Titahiro's only faced one more than the minimum. And the outfield has had no work so far for Clark. 5 strikeouts for Tinahiro, with 2 groundouts, a line out to second, and a pop out of the catcher. Those are the outs so far. In fact, the only time an outfielder has had to move was in left. Caitlin Ponthier had to field a single hit by Riley Hopper back in the third. Six strikeouts now for Tinahiro, and she is fired up. One away in the fourth.
Their whole team's playing with a lot of emotion, which as a Canyon Cougarette, you've got to be concerned about, because on paper you're the team supposed to win this game, and all of a sudden you're in a dogfight just because they're having success, because their pitcher's throwing a lot of strikes.
Now, we did say earlier in the broadcast that Tina Hero was going to make her money navigating through the order for a second time. This part of the order, the heart, as Vestal swings and fouls it back for strike one. Vestal, Pritchett, Owens, hitters 3, 4, and 5. All three extremely good hitters.
Without a doubt, this is if Canyon's going to make some noise here in the bottom of the fourth. They need to start right now with these batters.
Vestal 0 for 1 tonight, grounded out to third base back in the first. Lays off that low pitch for ball one. Again, Vestal, a do-it-all player, junior for Canyon, as she inspects her bat, hitting .422 at the plate, and in the circle a 1.16 ERA this season. Foul tips that one off for strike two. But right now the velocity of that rise ball getting up there for Tina Hero.
I thought Vestal had a good swing and yet was frustrated she didn't have better contact than that.
Boy, Vestal there holds up on that swing. She thought about it for a good 1/1000. Some deceptive stuff right now from Tina Hero. Vestal does keep the bat on her shoulder, and the count now 2-2. There's a ground ball charging in. Rodriguez throw to first, not in time. Vestal beats out the single. Canyon's second base runner. That sends up Pritchett.
You see Coach Randall and the next batter, Pritchett, kind of chuckling a little bit. Vestal is not the fastest runner. To get an infield single, you know that ball was really well placed as she gets a courtesy runner.
The batter, Pritchett, 0 for 1. Popped up to the catcher back in the second. The runner now is Cameron Stewart, one of the 4 seniors for the Cougarettes. That's a quick strike number 1 to Pritchett. And of all the hits that Vestal has had this season, I do wonder, Tony, as you said earlier, we weren't at every game this year. I wonder how many of them were infield base hits. Probably not many.
Probably not a lot for the .422 hitter.
With gaudy power numbers as well. Team high 7 home runs for Vestal. And right now back in the dugout. Next time she'll come out, we'll be back in the circle in the 5th. A ball and a strike to Pritchett. In her own right, a power hitter. 6 homers, 15 doubles for Pritchett. A .534 batting average. She also will spend some time in the circle as well. If Canyon gets into a best-of-3 series down the road, they might be leaning on Pritchett for some innings. A 1.25 ERA with 9 wins this year.
You know, you made the comment a little bit earlier. One of the things she's really had a lot of success in, Tina Hero I'm talking about, is she's been able to expand the strike zone for these Canyon hitters. Whether that's the breaking ball like that one, which was down and away, or the rising fastball, which she's got several of them to chase upstairs. She's really working the strike zone well, still, even with this threat in the 4th.
That ball in the air to left. Backpedaling, punt the air, looks up. It's over her head. Around third base, Stewart. Here's a throw towards the plate, cut off, and Canyon has a 1-0 lead. Diving into towards third base. Pritchett is thrown out for the second out of the inning, but gets the job done, delivers the RBI base hit. 1-0 Canyon.
Two things I want to say. Ponthier in left field did not play that well at all. The ball made it to the track. Like most of the outfielders to most of the batters tonight, they're playing shallow. She had a long way to go, and when she got there, she did something really well, and she's turned around and got the ball in really quick. The ball was cut off, and that's when they got Pritchett running to third, but a great hit. High arcing ball into left field.
16th double of the year for Pritchett. 1-0 Canyon. And now it's Owens. And takes strike one. Owens, a strikeout victim back in the first. A 2-hit inning thus far for Canyon. And again, you go back to this being the second time through the order. Canyon's hitters starting to figure things out. As I say that, a swing and a miss by Owens, who falls behind 0-2.
She's just rearing back sometimes and just throwing the ball as hard as she can, and the Canyon hitters, for the most part, haven't caught up to it. Owens, who shares the team lead with 7 home runs, would dearly love to put a stroke on this one.
A ground ball to third, scooped up by Rodriguez, and we go to the 5th. And we are scoreless, no more. RBI base hit Aaliyah Pritchett has given Canyon a 1-0 lead. Heading into the 5th in San Antonio on the Cougars Network. We're back in a moment.
Did you know Canyon High School has 2,555 current students? But if the current 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd graders in our district were Cougars right now, the high school enrollment would be over 14,000 students. Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org. Cougars Network is your home for Canyon High School athletic coverage. Don't miss live game broadcasts, weekly coaches shows, stories from inside the field house, and more. Log on to cougarsnetwork.com to stay up to date on everything from the Den to the Red Zone. Welcome to Cougars Network.
Fans having a good time here in San Antonio. A lot of Canyon fans made the trip from New Braunfels here to the Alamo City. We're right now watching Canyon lead 1-0 heading into the 5th. The Cougarettes scratching across the game's first run in the bottom of the 4th. RBI double hit by Aaliyah Pritchett. The first run of the game. And the circle for her 5th inning of work is Brooke Vestal for the Cougarettes and faces off against Mia Quintero, who lined down to first base back in the 2nd and falls behind here 0-1.
You got to wonder now that she's got a lead, still a close game, can she be more aggressive than she's been? Because she's been really aggressive.
Good spot there, strike 2 from Vestal. Going back to the double, hit by Pritchett. And Tony, we've commented that the outfielders weren't working a lot in this game, but the winds, though, are howling, and I think that maybe the wind led to that ball getting over the head of Ponthier and left.
I watched her at the first part of that at bat. She was as shallow as we see Zeblin in left field now. And we're talking about someone that's about maybe not even, gosh, I don't know, is that 15 yards from the infield dirt? And now you've got 30 yards behind you to the fence. She was shallow and took a tough route to the ball, which was straight over her head, and she lost it and then had to turn and run and didn't find it when she got there. And again, the best thing she did was she got it in quick, and that got him an out and got out of a bigger inning.
Now the count 2-2.
Wow.
Right down the middle, strike 3. That's 6 strikeouts for Vestal, and she has now retired 7 in a row, and it sends up Peyton Johnson.
That was really surprising to see Quintero just stand and watch the one. That ball was at the knees, right over the middle of the plate. That was really not something you expect to see the opposing catcher, who's a gamer, look at a pitch that good.
Now the batter's Johnson, who's 0 for 1 tonight. Lined out to first, back in the second. Chops that one foul for strike one. Johnson hitting 7th in the order, only 2 extra base hits all year, both of them doubles. One of them did come a week ago last Thursday, and a win over San Antonio Stevens. The 4 playoff teams out of the 28 6A district. Holmes, the champion. Brennan finished second. O'Connor, by virtue of its win over Clark in the playoff game, third. These Cougarettes finishing in 4th. Caitlin Ponthier waiting on deck. The count 0-2 to Peyton Johnson. And now 1-2. Nice waste pitch there by Vestal.
She did waste it.
Like Vestal has been Canyon's primary pitcher throughout the season in the circle. A big part of this number, a 1.29 runs against average for Canyon in district play this year. The Cougarettes in their 14 district games, all wins, posted 6 shutouts. They've only allowed, get this, Tony, more than 1 run in a game once since the end of February.
Vestal not real happy she didn't get the call on that pitch over the outside corner, but Blue called it just a little bit outside.
So that means Clark has to do something tonight, score more than 1 run that only one team has done since the end of February against Canyon's pitching.
Clark trying to be a little gamey here, stepping out of the box a couple of times.
Nice battle right now between Johnson and Vestal as she stays alive off that fouled pitch.
In on her hands. Got a piece of it.
The only hit tonight for Clark came all the way back in the first inning. Second hitter of the game, an infield single by Kat Pisano. The only other Clark player to reach was Caitlin Ponthier on an error committed by Owens, a shortstop, in the third. Not a team that has a ton of pop in the lineup either. A team slugging percentage of .308.
Now Vestal can't agree to a sign from Padilla, and they shook her off a couple of times there. Finally, she stepped off before the batter stepped out.
Up and inside, but in the zone for back-to-back strikeouts now for Vestal. 7 in the game, 2 away in the 5th. The batter now, Caitlin Ponthier, and right now, Tony, you get the sense that Brooke Vestal is pitching with more and more confidence as the game continues to move along.
Well, and I think she senses she is overmatching their hitters right now, and she's in control, and that's what a pitcher needs to have.
Here's Ponthier, who's 0 for 1. And Vestal lost control of that pitch.
It was behind her, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, okay.
A little inside. And the count 1 ball and no strikes. Is it inside when it gets behind a hitter?
Ponthier is way up in the batter's box as far as close to the plate, but yes, it is. It's way inside.
Her sister Rylan waiting on deck.
I think that first pitch kind of got Vestal off of a rhythm because that next pitch missed as well. Now she's down the count 2-0.
That's a strike in the other half. 2-1.
She's doing a lot of walking behind the rubber between pitches right now.
That one nearly clipped Ponthier in her leg. And I believe this is the first 3-1 count of the game for Vestal. There have been no walks in the game for either team. A classic pitching duel so far tonight. Vestal has edged out Tina Hero by a hair as Ponthier fouls it off for strike 2.
You're right. That's the first. We've had a couple of 3-2 counts, but that's the first time we've been at 3-1 with a Clark batter.
Ooh. Lays off, but not a wise choice.
Ooh.
As Vestal strikes out the side. 3 up and 3 down to the 5th. 1-0 Canyon on the Cougars Network. We're back in a moment.
Did you know Canyon High School has already exceeded classroom capacity and will continue to grow by an average of 175 students per year over the next 10 years? Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org.
Hey Cougar fans, Friday nights this season are about to light up in a big way. Catch all the action on our new Texas-sized video scoreboard. Our screen size is a massive 24 feet by 34 feet with the same broadcast aspect as high and ultra high definition you are used to watching football on at home. No matter where you sit at Cougar Stadium, you'll never miss a second of the exciting addition to the tradition of Friday nights in New Braunfels. Want to see that Cougar touchdown again? We'll have the instant replay. Need some noise for our defense to shut them down? No problem. And fun video commercials and promotions that will make Cougar football one of the greatest shows on turf. Speaking of which, time to shed the red, because we're getting mean on the green for 2017. This surface is state-of-the-art, faster and safer. Friday nights are all new. New players, new scoreboard, new field, and a whole new attitude for Cougar football. 2017, the formation of the Cougar Nation.
After a brilliant top of the 5th inning by Canyon pitcher Brooke Vestal, the Bats trying to add insurance to her lead, leading 1-0. Only run of the game scored in the 4th. An RBI double hit by Aaliyah Pritchett, driving home the pinch runner, Cameron Stewart. Meanwhile, Vestal struck out the side in the top of this inning and now has 9 strikeouts on the night. Her counterpart, Tina Hero, has 6. Nice swing there by Jude Padilla leading off the Canyon 5th inning. But a foul ball on the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. And I gave Vestal 1 more strikeout. She has 8 for Canyon.
That is correct. That's what I have, which makes it correct.
I should note, our scorebooks look vastly different.
Yes.
We've kept the same score. Tony does his in the more traditional sense. Mine is way out there. But
as long as you know what you know.
Exactly. As long as I can look down and relay the information, it's all good.
I do mine like an official scorer would.
If I handed
you do yours like an announcer would.
If I handed you my scorebook, it'd be like as if I'm handing you Mandarin. The count, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Padilla. Maloney, Hopper also due in the Cougarettes' 5th. There's a pop-up into shallow center, drifting in Mullins. 1 out. And that is the first fly ball out of the game for Clark.
I was just going to say that. That's the first fly ball out.
And you see in your scorebook, that's F8. In mine, it's FOCF.
It's the first fly ball out in the game, is it not?
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, in the game.
Yep, that's right.
Had several line outs, a couple pop-ups.
Only 2 balls tonight have been squared up and hit. The double by Pritchett, who drove in the run, and the single by Hopper back in the third.
Yeah.
Ball 1 to Maloney, who struck out back in the third. She's 0 for 1. Again, the winner of this game gets the winner between MacArthur and Vista Ridge. Those two playing at a best of 3, and game 1 being played tonight.
Which is interesting because the winner of this game will know at 10 o'clock tonight, and they won't know their opponent till sometime Saturday afternoon, possibly. Could be Friday night, could be Saturday afternoon.
Boy, the winds right now really picking up here in San Antonio on St. Mary's campus. The flag's out in right center, howling out towards left.
Kind of a little more than first to third, don't you think? Kind of more towards left, but still a lot first to third.
Hitters count. And it's now 2-1.
It's amazing. Even on a 2-0 count, Tina Hero comes in with a pitch that has enough pace to it and moves enough that the batter can't square it up. And again, she's waiting 2-0. You know she's waiting dead red fastball down the middle, and she gets it, but it's a good enough pitch that she can't square it up.
Nice pitch there. It's now 2-2, working herself out of a 2-0 hole. Maloney batting. Nobody on, 1 away here in the bottom of the 5th. Canyon with its run back in the 4th inning has assured itself it won't get shut out. Canyon has only been shut out 3 times all year. Last time they were shut out February 24th against Dripping Springs. A very tough lineup to keep in check, but if you're Tina Hero right now, with the way the Vestal is pitching, you have to keep the deficit at a single run. Payoff pitch. Inside, the game's first walk goes to Paige Maloney.
Talk about them getting shut out back in February. That's part of that Dripping Springs tournament where they went 3-2. Again, the last time they lost was that last game against Leander Rouse. I got to believe, because those are very competitive teams in that tournament, Austin area teams that are competitive, that did a lot to set them up for their district and what they've done for the last 15 games.
Now it is Riley Hopper for Canyon. Has one of the team's 3 hits. Pops this one up, but out of play. And the count 0-1.
I think you could have had that one if it wouldn't have been for the roof of this building. Okay, first time we've had a new softball in a while.
That is true.
It's not one that Tina Hero really wanted. She thought about throwing it back.
Takes that one for a strike of the count. Now 0-2 to Hopper. Bailey Zebla waiting on deck for Canyon. Leading 1-0 here in the 5th with a runner at first and 1 away.
And after the walk, she's come back with 2 really good pitches.
Again, Tony and I have been alluding to February for Canyon. It's been a long time since they lost, since they played poorly. You look at Clark, and the record not as gaudy, but still very good, 17-9. They have not lost back-to-back games in more than a month. Last time they dropped 2 in a row, early March. They did lose their last game, the 3rd-place playoff against O'Connor, 13-1. Much more competitive so far tonight. The 1-2. In the air to center. And is Mullins, that has the second out of the inning.
We don't have a fly ball out for 4.5 innings, and we get 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th, both fly ball outs.
But again, with the way the wind is picking up, Tony, and you talk about the prospect of heading back to the middle part of the order, perhaps in the 6th inning, you know, if you're surrendering fly balls to those batters, they may not be caught in the outfield. Now it's Zeppelin, who struck out back in the 3rd.
Wow.
Nice cut by Zeppelin. And it's now 0-1.
She was trying to make it a 3-1 game with one swing.
She does have 18 RBI in the year, batting average of .364.
She sees the wind.
And hitting 9th in the order. This is a big out here for Tina Hero, with Sydney Belvin awaiting on deck. Popped it up, playable, and in from short is Nash, and she got that big out. In the 5th for Canyon, no runs, no hits, 1 runner left on. We go to the 6th, still a 1-0 affair. Cougarettes in front. On the Cougars Network, we're back in a moment.
Cougars Network is your home for Canyon High School athletic coverage. Don't miss live game broadcasts, weekly coaches shows, stories from inside the field house, and more. Log on to cougarsnetwork.com to stay up to date on everything from the Den to the Red Zone. Welcome to Cougars Network. Right now, Canyon High School has an enrollment of 2,617 students. But did you know? It's projected that a current kindergartner on the path to become a Cougar will join more than 4,000 students during their freshman year. Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org.
Welcome back to San Antonio. Great showing again by the Canyon fans who made their way from I-35 down south here to the Alamo City. Beautiful night for softball and a beautiful game so far as well. Pitchers duel. Right now, the edge belongs to Brooke Vestal. Canyon leading 1-0 here in the 6th. And Vestal has struck out 8. And she has retired 9 in a row. The last Clark player to reach was Caitlin Ponthier on an error back in the 3rd. Here is Rylan Ponthier, who had a sacrifice back in the 3rd. The count 1-1. Tony and I have been keeping tabs on tonight's NFL draft. We mentioned that his Bears took a quarterback. Well, a quarterback just went just now. That's 1-2 to Ponthier. The Kansas City Chiefs trading up from 27th all the way to 10th with Buffalo to take Pat Mahomes, the quarterback out of Texas Tech. The 1-2. Popped it up, but out of play for the catcher Padilla. And we'll do it again. So perhaps Kansas City, knowing that Alex Smith's career won't be around much longer, start thinking about the future of the position.
But you think about moving up 17 picks to go get a quarterback that most people thought you could have got at 27th before the draft started. Wow.
Strikeout number 9 for Vestal, and now 4 in a row. All 4 of those strikeouts, by the way, looking. As we go back to the top of the order, here is Sydney Campion, who struck out twice tonight.
3 of the last 4 have been looking. Quintero really took a hack.
That's right. And here's Campion, both of her strikeouts of the swinging variety. And she's 0 for 2. You used the term multiple times tonight, Tony, outmatched. Right now it seems as if Vestal is really overpowering these Clark hitters.
And I've watched Campion bat both times, and she struck out twice, but she really looks like a batter that gets on base a lot, and she hacks one back to the fence, but something about her approach that this is the third time is that she's not sure what she wants to do. Does she want to run on it? Does she want to slap at it? Does she want to bunt? Does she want to stay in? She's a runner. She's one of those players who runs up in the batter's box to take a swing, but she just doesn't seem comfortable at the plate.
Nice swing, but it's good for a strike. It's now 1-2 to Campion. Second best OPS on the team at .971, best on base percentage, but Campion has not been able to reach so far tonight.
And you just look at that ball. If that stays fair down the third base line, she's got a double at least, even though it's a short field and the left fielder is really shallow. She is just trying to make something happen. It's a one-run game.
We would now like to welcome the Comal ISD board meeting to the broadcast. Again, our score here in the Cougars Network, 1-0 Canyon. Your game recap right now, the pitcher, Brooke Vestal, who's meeting with their infield. She's been nearly unhittable, only one hit given up, an infield single back in the first. She has struck out 9 and has retired 10 in a row. Offensively, the Cougarettes have 3 hits, one of them an RBI double hit by Aaliyah Pritchett back in the fourth that drove home Cameron Stewart, the game's only run. So thanks again to our board members for tuning in to catch our broadcast tonight. And don't forget to vote. Early voting is in full swing for the Comal ISD until May the 2nd. Election day is May 6th. If you want to be a part of the tradition of casting your ballot, be sure to mark that on your calendar, May the 6th. Always fun to get that I voted sticker and have your voice heard.
It's the American way. Voting is important.
Well, long meeting right now in the circle.
We got a pinch hitter.
Well, still Campion there with a bat at her hands.
Oh, no, you're right.
For Clark.
You're right.
Meeting is over.
Was a break in the action just so that you could read that.
I guess so. That did time out exceptionally well.
The Cougarettes knew we needed a short break.
With the location of that pitch was, with the strike zone it's been tonight, I was kind of surprised it wasn't a called strike 3.
Looked like a pretty good pitch.
Good rise ball from Vestal. Campion standing in. Looking to get on base. Cannot. Strikes out for the third time. 11 straight sat down by Vestal, 2 away.
You have to think with the other one that was taken and not called a strike that one, the Blue wasn't going to let that happen again.
That sends up Kat Pisano. Again, the only base hit tonight for Clark, that infield single back in the first. She's 1 for 2.
So 10 strikeouts, 5 in a row, 4 in a row called.
Pisano also made contact in her other at-bat, grounding out to short back in the third. Can't say that about a lot of the Clark hitters. There have been 17 outs in this game and 10 of the strikeout variety. And the way that Vestal is pitching right now, Clark's going to have a really difficult time getting anybody on base, let alone coming back to tie the game.
These last 2 batters look like they're guessing at what pitch is coming next. They have very little confidence on what they're expecting.
1-2 now to Pisano, a sophomore. That base hit she had back in the first, her 11th this year.
Ooh.
A few Canyon players were a step or two towards the dugout off of that pitch.
Blue made a little bit of a body motion like he was going to rise up and call that one and held off.
Karina Rodriguez waiting on deck for Clark. With Posado here battling against Vestal. Again, in terms of at-bats against her tonight, Posado's had some of the better ones.
Sure, I would agree with that.
A look at the Clark dugout. A lot of players who have the rally caps going right now, or rally visors, I suppose. Trying to get something going here for Clark. The Cougarettes' biggest threat, Clark's biggest threat, came back in the first. Posado made it all the way to third base, if you recall. But Vestal able to strike out Mullins to end the threat.
This will be only the second time tonight that a batter has seen a seventh pitch in an at-bat.
Posado not going away quietly.
And now she'll see an eighth pitch.
She's doing her teammates a lot of justice right now, a lot of help, Tony, by forcing Vestal to throw more and more pitches right now, getting the pitch count up.
Without a doubt.
Even if she doesn't reach here, has helped out her hitters coming up in the seventh. Fouls off another.
She's waiting now for her ninth pitch, which is only too short as many pitches as Vestal threw back in the fourth inning complete.
And now the count fills to Posado. What an at-bat right here for the sophomore second baseman.
And again, remind people, this is a one-run game. It's 1-0. There's going to be a momentum swing one way or the other if this at-bat ends, or when this at-bat ends.
Posado represents a tying run, and the tying run has reached first base. The Clark dugout fired up. What an at-bat by Posado. And it sends up Karina Rodriguez, Clark's best offensive threat this season, coming up now in a big spot.
First walk of the night by Vestal.
Compared to 10 strikeouts.
Right.
And by the way, with her strikeout of Campion back earlier in the inning, now an even 200 punch-outs on the year for Vestal. Here's Rodriguez, who's 0 for 1.
Coach Randall now is going to have to settle down Vestal just a little bit. Little emotional with a couple of non-strikes being called.
Rodriguez does have one home run this season, and that came ages ago, February 18th against San Antonio Edison. This is not a home run hitting team. Clark only 2 as a team all year. 2-1 now. And that hits the back of Rodriguez, and the tying run now at second for Clark. And after retiring 11s against Vestal, and a big threat right now for the Clark Cougarettes. And now one of Canyon's assistants comes out to visit with Vestal, and Coach Randall calling in the outfield as well to talk with them. The inning began with back-to-back strikeouts of Rylan Ponthier and Sydney Campion, and everything seemed to be going business as usual for Vestal, but then Kat Posado fouled off pitch after pitch, earned herself a full count walk. Rodriguez hit by pitch, And all of a sudden, the game's tying run is at second base.
And you don't see this at a softball game very often, where there's not a defensive player not talking with a coach right now. That's unusual.
Very.
And there's not a batter, an on-deck hitter, or a base runner not talking with coaches on the offensive side.
Outfielders go back to their positions. Kadecki in right, Belvin in center, Zeblin in left. Infield and the assistant Dunn visiting with Vestal. And a huge at-bat coming up here for Abby Mullins. A good hitter, .316 this year. We mentioned Clark has only 2 home runs. One of them, Rodriguez, she's at first base. The other, Mullins. It was her first hit of the season, by the way. Her only home run against Clemens back on February 7th. One of the veterans on this team, a 3-year varsity player, falls behind 0-1. Over the course of her career, 49 hits, 2 homers, 12 doubles, and 24 RBI. And a base hit here could tie the game. But now falls behind quickly 0-2.
Vestal doing a nice job of pouring in a couple of quick strikes. Mullins is the batter after the bunt by Rodriguez, the sac bunt with a runner on second. Didn't have a good at bat the first time. Popped up her second time. Now really time for Vestal to put her away.
At second base, Posada. Rodriguez is at first. Mullins showing a bunt, pulls it back and takes ball 1. And again, given the strike zone tonight, that is a really tough 0-2 pitch to take.
That's an understatement for sure.
Man. The highest drama we've seen in the game tonight.
Without a doubt.
On deck is Nash. And if Vestal has it her way, she'd see Nash in the 7th. Due up for the Cougarettes, by the way, in the bottom of this inning. It is the top of the order. Belvin, Perez, and Vestal. And we should note that Tina Harrell getting a lot of rest right now.
Yes.
We go to the bottom of the 6th, still in a 1-0 game. Strikeout number 11 for Brooke Vestal. And the threat is over. No Resto hits and 2 left on. 1-0 Canyon. Cougars Softball is back in a moment on the Cougars Network.
Did you know Canyon High School has already exceeded classroom capacity and will continue to grow by an average of 175 students per year over the next 10 years? Why? Because Comal County is the 7th fastest growing county in the USA, and CISD continues to attract families looking for quality education for their children. The more we grow, the more you need to know. Find out more at comalisd.org.
Cougars Network is your home for Canyon High School athletic coverage. Don't miss live game broadcasts, weekly coaches shows, stories from inside the fieldhouse, and more. Log on to cougarsnetwork.com to stay up to date on everything from the Den to the Red Zone. Welcome to Cougars Network.
A look at the scoreboard here in San Antonio. Zeros on the Clark side. The Cougarettes, though, threaten heavily at the top of this inning. 2 runners on, 2 out. But Brooke Vestal dug deep into her reserves and got a big strike out of Abby Mullins to end the threat. And Clark has now left 4 runners on base. Canyon's only left 2 on so far. The game's only run scored in the 4th off an RBI double hit by Aaliyah Pritchett. Coming up for Canyon here in the 6th, Belvin, Perez, and Vestal. And you do wonder, Tony, we spoke a bit about Amaris Tinahiro, the pitcher in the circle for Clark. She sees the way that her batters fought for her in the top of this inning. Maybe she comes out here and pitches her heart out to keep it a 1-0 game and give them a chance in the 7th.
I think she's pitched her heart out all night. I think
Agreed.
She's pitched way better than the score would give her a chance to be. but she's really got to dig in more because she can't give up anything. Her team has already told her they can't score easily.
And Belvin ahead now 2-0.
She almost might have the mindset of being frustrated because we did everything we could offensively and we still couldn't score.
Right.
You know, you don't know how the sophomore pitcher is going to take the mound here in the bottom of the 6th after that inning that looked like it could be.
Popped it up towards left, reaching up to make the catch on the edge of the outfield grass is Nash from short. One away here in the bottom of the 6th. You know, again, with the way the winds are swirling tonight, no pop-up fly-out is routine.
Well, I think that's the second or third nice play I've seen Nash make tonight, the shortstop for Clark. She made that one short hop early in the game. That was not a difficult play, but you had to keep your focus on it because you were running a good 50, 60 feet to go get it.
Now Perez, who's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. First pitch swinging in towards right field, coming over from second. And the tip of her glove, Posado makes the catch. And 2 quick outs here in the bottom of the 6th.
Another nice infielder makes the move, goes out, makes a nice running catch. Right fielder's there, first baseman's there. Any one of them could have caught it, but did a nice job getting out there and making a play and then squeezing it and make sure it was caught.
Now it's Vestal, tonight's pitcher, also responsible in part for the game's only run scored. An infield single for her back of the 4th, lifted for a courtesy runner, Cameron Stewart, who later scored off the double hit by Pritchett.
I'm sure she would dearly love to get back on base again.
Up swinging here. Pop up, foul territory, and we go to the 7th as Ponthier makes a catch. A quick 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 6th. 1-0 Cougarettes, 3 outs away from the second round. On the Cougars Network, we're back in a moment.
3 pop-outs.
Hey Cougar fans, Friday nights this season are about to light up in a big way. Catch all the action on our new Texas-sized video scoreboard. Our screen size is a massive 24 feet by 34 feet with the same broadcast aspect as high and ultra high definition you are used to watching football on at home. No matter where you sit at Cougar Stadium, you'll never miss a second of the exciting addition to the tradition of Friday nights in New Braunfels. Want to see that Cougar touchdown again? We'll have the instant replay. Need some noise for our defense to shut them down? No problem. And fun video commercials and promotions that will make Cougar football one of the greatest shows on turf. Speaking of which, time to shed the red, because we're getting mean on the green for 2017. This surface is state-of-the-art, faster and safer. Friday nights are all new. New players, new scoreboard, new feel, and a whole new attitude for Cougar football. 2017, the formation of the Cougar Nation.
The Canyon Cougarettes are 3 defensive outs away from the next round. Leading 1-0, heading here into the top of the 7th inning with Nash, Quintero, and Johnson due up for Clark. As Brooke Vestal opens the 7th with a strike in the outer half against Nash, who's 0 for 2 with a strikeout.
Good sign with a first pitch strike.
11 strikeouts so far for Vestal. And quickly ahead here, 0-2. In fact, the last 5 outs that Vestal has recorded has come via the strikeout. Although Clark did threaten in the 6th, put 2 on with 2 out, a walk and a hit by pitch. But Vestal struck out Mullins to end the threat and picks up punch-out number 12, 1 away.
Everyone in their batting order except for Pisano has struck out tonight. That's how dominant Brooke Vestal has been.
Here is Quintero. She's 0 for 2. A line out and, yes, a strikeout. 4 left on for Clark tonight. Only 2 runners left on for Canyon. As the infield visits with Vestal. I wonder right now, Tony, what the conversation's about. I would imagine something along the lines of, we're 2 outs away, Brooke. Get the job done. Let's move on to the second round.
Or even more specifically, maybe they remember something she did, the catcher, and they know what she's done. We're going to pitch her away, so look more on the right side of the infield. I hope it'd be more strategy than to just cheer her up, but you never know.
Outside to Quintero, ball 1. A .312 hitter coming into the night and into the postseason. Not a lot of pop in the bat for Quintero. Last extra base hit came March the 15th, more than a month ago. Clark doesn't need an extra base here unless it's a home run. They just need somebody to reach. Here's the 1-1. Boy, and there, Quintero, you talk about expanding your strike zone. Goes up the ladder for that, and now behind 1-2.
Yeah, and honest with you, they have not expanded the strike zone a lot lately. Vestal's just been throwing a lot of strikes. That one, she chased a bad one.
Good contact, but a foul ball. And the count remains 0-2. Peyton Johnson awaits on deck for Clark. Inside, nearly clipped Quintero, diving out of the way of that one. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Maybe you put it there on 1-2 so you can go sweeping, breaking ball away for strike 3. She has pitched well tonight, moving the ball around.
Foul tip strike, and Tony, that's what makes a good pitcher, whether it's softball or baseball, to be able to locate. Otherwise, you're a thrower, not a pitcher.
Correct.
And we've seen Vestal do that tonight. Move the ball around. That's how you pick up a dozen strikeouts.
You got good stuff, and you're making them miss because you're moving the ball around well.
Outside for ball 4. Second walk of the game for Clark. And the tying run is at first base now for the Clark Cougarettes. And it sends up Peyton Johnson 0 for 2. A line out of the strikeout so far tonight.
Second strikeout in as many innings. The only 2 strikeouts for the game for Vestal.
Or walks.
Walks, I'm sorry. Yes, pardon me. Tough one there, a 3-2 off-speed pitch.
Yep.
Have a lot of confidence in it, but it's 3-2.
Maybe thought Quintero would chase it as well.
Yeah.
We go back to the conversation that she had with her infield, and I'm wondering if it's motivational. You're wondering if it's strategic, and maybe, it was strategic, and the team noting Quintero will go for something out of the strike zone down and away.
Yeah.
Didn't do it there. Bunt down, stays fair, tag applied by Maloney. A throw back to second, back in, barely is Quintero. It is a productive out for Clark on the sacrifice. Now 2 down for Ponthier. Boy, Clark playing small ball tonight, their 3rd sack bunt of the game.
Indeed. In a 1-run game, I don't know if you have a choice in the top of the 7th.
And 2 of the sacrifices have come with 1 out already in the inning.
Right. Absolutely.
Now Ponthier, 0 for 2. Didn't reach on an error committed by Owens, a shortstop, back in the 3rd. A base hit could tie it. Inside Black for strike one. Tony and I, throughout the broadcast, praise his freshman class for Clark. Well, it's a freshman right now, Ponthier, trying to come through in a playoff situation. Tying one at second. A swing and a drive to right. Caught by the backpedaling Konecki, and the Canyon Cougarettes are heading to the second round. Final score from San Antonio, Canyon 1, Clark nothing. What a finish.
Well, you and I both looked at that ball off the bat and were very concerned to where it was going because it looked like it was hit harder. Obviously, Konecki had a beat on it the whole way and made a great catch, but that ball off the bat looked like it could produce some problems.
Boy, what an outing tonight for Brooke Vestal. A complete game, one-hit shutout, struck out a dozen, and has to hold her breath on a final swing by Ponthier, caught by Konecki in right. Back to wrap things up in just a moment on the Cougars Network. We're back in just a moment.
Cougars Network is your home for Canyon High School athletic coverage. Don't miss live game broadcasts, weekly coaches shows, stories from inside the field house, and more. Log on to CougarsNetwork.com to stay up to date on everything from the Den to the Red Zone. Welcome to Cougars Network.
Welcome back to San Antonio. Coach Randall visiting with his team right now. Winners here tonight in the bi-district round of the Region 4 6A playoffs. 1-0 over Clark. And Tony, here to wrap things up. And you and I coming into the game alluding to Canyon's gaudy 15-game winning streak in which they were plus 139 in runs scored, playing a Clark team in the postseason for the first time in 5 years, and thought this might be a rout. It was nothing of the sort tonight. Clark battled tonight. Only one hit, though, against Vestal. Could not find a way to solve her.
Softball is a pitcher's game. Baseball can be a pitcher's game, but less often. Softball more so. And we had two pitchers tonight that really, really fought for everything they wanted. And I'm telling you what, is taking the loss, Amiris Tinajero, she was every bit as good as Vestal was. She just gave up one. Well, let's face it, Canyon has better hitters. She faced better hitters all night long and still limited them to just 3 hits and 1 run. Mm-hmm. I think her night was remarkable in the loss, but Canyon wins and they go on, and Brooke Vestal gets a chance to get another playoff game.
This is not an easy Canyon lineup to keep in check, and Tinajero did that tonight. The only hit, though, the only key hit, Aaliyah Pritchett's double to left field back of the 4th inning. You know, again, Canyon didn't explode offensively tonight, but they came through in a clutch situation, something they've done all season long.
Consistency, and Coach Randall talked about just determination and being consistent, and that they were tonight. They stuck with it. They battled every at-bat, and they got one more run than the opponent did, and they win. And
it's now on to the second round for the Cougarettes, so play the winner of the 3-game series between San Antonio MacArthur or Vista Ridge. For more information on the upcoming series, log on later to CougarsNetwork.com. For our entire Cougars Network crew, a production of WIC Productions, from my broadcast partner Tony Brubaker, I'm Brant Freeman. Once again, the final score, Canyon 1, Clark 0. From San Antonio, good night.